Since the founding of the formal U.S. Refugee Admissions Program in 1975, the United States has welcomed over 3 million refugees to our country. Some of these people have become famous, like NBA All-Star Lul Deng and singer and performer Regina Spektor. The majority, however, have just become Americans. They have bought homes in the United States, established small businesses, raised their children here, and sent those same kids to college. They ride our public trains, order hot dogs from the local food joint, and do a lot of the hardest jobs our country has to offer. All across the United States, people who came as refugees are cleaning our hospitals, packaging our Amazon deliveries, and deboning our pre-cut, pre-skinned chicken breasts. Refugee resettlements in the United States didn't start through a formal government program. Rather, it was primarily the work of concerned citizens who took it upon themselves to assist individuals fleeing fascist governments in Germany, Italy, and Spain. This led to the creation of several refugee agencies formerly devoted to supporting these World War II refugees. These faith-based organizations, as well as local churches, were the primary actors involved in welcoming America's first refugees. This was years before the 1951 UN Refugee Convention was signed, and long before the founding of the formal U.S. government program.
During the ensuing Cold War period, the U.S. government began to formally issue refugee visas, primarily to those fleeing communist regimes. This included 40,000 displaced Europeans admitted under the Displaced Persons Act of 1948, and 35,000 Hungarians granted refugee status in lieu of the Hungarian Revolution of 1956. After communist governments were established in Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos, a staggering 3 million people poured into China and other Southeast Asian countries seeking asylum. Almost 2.5 million were offered resettlement, with the US accepting the vast majority. These Indo-Chinese refugees included the Vietnamese boat people and Cambodians fleeing the terrors of the Khmer Rouge. It was during this period, in 1975 to be exact, that the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program, USRAP, was formally started. Congress then later passed the 1980 Refugee Act to create systematized procedures that would guide the program thereafter. Since then, the United States has been a key player in terms of offering resettlement to refugees fleeing the worst tragedies of the 20th and 21st centuries. These people have forever changed our country. Not only have they paid taxes and opened business contributing to our economy, but they've brought with them new ideas, new food, new expertise. Moreover, in comparison with refugees in other countries, those who arrived in the United States seem to integrate faster and figure out how to stand on their own 2 feet within a shorter period of time.
On January 27, 2017, President Trump signed into effect Executive Order 13769. The order, entitled Protecting the Nation from Foreign Terrorist Entry into the United States, suspended USRAP for an initial period of 120 days, and introduced a list of banned countries from which the U.S. would no longer receive applications for refugee or immigrant visas. United States District Judge William Orrick III challenged the constitutionality of the executive order, but after ping-ponging through the courts, an amended version was approved by the Supreme Court on December 4, 2017. Accordingly, USRAP has resumed operation, with the addition of enhanced vetting procedures. Nevertheless, numerous countries are still banned, and the cap for refugees admitted to the U.S. during the 2018 fiscal year has been reduced to 45,000, the lowest ceiling on refugee admissions since the program's creation.
Now, to put that into perspective, there are an estimated 65.6 million people in the world who have been forcibly displaced, about 17 million of which fall under the category of refugee. Of these 17 million, the UN Refugee Agency, otherwise known as UNHCR, has identified 1.2 million in need of resettlement. That means that if the US accepts 45,000, we are taking only 3.7% of those identified for resettlement, 0.26% of officially registered refugees, and only 0.06% of people worldwide who have been displaced by conflict. The reality is, however, that less than 5,000 people were admitted to the US during the first 3 months of 2018, and it seems unlikely that even half of the permitted 45,000 will even be processed for resettlement this year. Why? President Trump's order has blocked admissions from the parts of the world that generate the largest number of refugees. Moreover, with dwindling arrivals and dramatically reduced funding, refugee resettlement agencies are fighting to keep their doors open and to continue providing services for those already living in our country.
Unable to change current restrictions, it may seem to some like we are gathered at the funeral of the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program. This until now bipartisan humanitarian program is far from dead. 5 centuries worth of new Americans live to tell the tale of their journey to the United States. The new lives they have started in this beautiful country are a testament to both their tenacity and the success of the program. We can only understand the true added value of USRAP, as well as the consequences of its potential closure, if we first examine the stories of those whom it has impacted.